Now, across Texas, the issue is.
I'm Rudy Koski in Austin.
I'm Greg Grugan in Houston.
And I'm Stephen Dial in Dallas, and this is Texas, the issue is.
The issue is Texas takes nearly 1 million votes out of play for the November election. State officials claim they found a lot of names on county voter rolls that just simply didn't belong. The purge that resulted is somewhat of a rebooted overhaul after a previous attempt a few years ago misidentified several thousand illegal voters. Governor Greg Abbott spoke to me about the new process and the new accusations of voter suppression.
It is a cleanup, but not a one-time cleanup. It is a constant cleanup because we have a perpetual duty to ensure that there's nobody on the voter rolls who is ineligible to vote. It is the way, the primary way that we are able to ensure that we can cut down on any type of illegal voting.
This is really coming at a time at the height of the border surges that were going on. Do you see a correlation?
So, Rudy, before the new laws I signed in September of 2021, we were reviewing non-citizens through jury pools and through other strategies. The laws that I signed in 2021 enhanced our capabilities of reviewing non-citizens who may be able to vote. With that new tool, we were able to identify even more. It was 6,500 approximately, who were non-citizens who were registered to vote. And so that obviously is a number higher than what we want to see. We want to see zero up there. But it does show that our new strategies about investigating this and getting to the bottom of it have revealed the non-citizens who were on the voter rolls that we're now able to get rid of.
Back in 2019, then Secretary of State Whitley did that big review, 98,000 names flagged, 25,000 supposedly were actually naturalized citizen. It caused a huge problem, was a huge black eye for the state. How is this review different from that misstep?
So what it does, it authorizes, actually requires Texas Department of Public Safety to do a matching to match people who may be applying for a driver's license or any other type of card to identify those who are non-citizens, as well as have the DPS undertake further review to make sure that non-citizens are not registered to vote in the state of Texas.
ACLU in 2019 said this is voter suppression. They came out in regards to this one, no surprise, accusing this process as voter suppression. What's your reaction?
Well, it does suppress the vote of non-citizens. It suppresses the vote of dead people, suppresses the vote of people who moved away from Texas, and no one should be able to complain about that.
What do you say to these people who say Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick and the Republicans are trying to just hold down the Latino vote, the brown and black voters of this state, that everything that you're doing right now is to basically remain in power and hold these folks down?
I don't care what your color is, black, white, brown, Asian, whatever the case may be. I think everybody wants to see fair elections with the rules followed, with no illegal voting. Secondly, Rudy, listen, those Hispanic voters, those black voters, those Asian voters, those are my voters also. I'm not trying to suppress them. I'm trying to get them to the polls to vote for me.
Do you think that the red flag names of people who supposedly did vote in 21, should they be prosecuted, and will prosecutions actually happen this time?
Well, to be clear, listen, if somebody has voted illegally or violated other election integrity laws, 100% they should be prosecuted.
Harris County is moving forward somewhat in defiance of state law and sending out voter registration and ballot information that's not requested. Basically thumbing the nose at Austin, thumbing the nose at the state of Texas.
Harris County is refusing to follow the laws, and two things need to happen. One is investigations and prosecutions need to take place against Harris County officials. But secondly, it appears that the Secretary of State of the state of Texas meant to go in and really take over the operations of the election systems of Harris County if they do not get it straight. One thing we can perhaps hopefully all agree on, and that is the chaos in the election system in Harris County should not be allowed to continue.
Well, a lot said there in acknowledgement of the return of college football this weekend. My word for that interview is prevent. Stephen, what's your word?
I'll stick with college. I'll say zone.
Greg, kick us off with the word to the break.
Rudy, my word is tempest, as in a teapot.
Well, with that, the Texas trio will huddle up, and we'll be back in a moment to discuss the Texas voter roll cleanup. The state has removed almost 1 million names from county voter rolls as part of a new process passed by state lawmakers back in 2021. Critics of the governor say he's making a routine process political by framing it as an effort to stop voter fraud. Stephen, what's the reaction to all this in North Texas?
Yeah, I mean, the timeliness of it is definitely political. Let's just be very honest about it. Now, are more things happening since recent laws have passed? Yes, that's accurate. But also, the state election director testified before House members earlier this week and said that county offices have been doing this since the law went into place. This is a regular practice. They call it list maintenance. I had to talk to some election administrators who wanted to be anonymous because of all the pressure that has been on them since the 2020 election, who says this is something that they do weekly. And another thing I'll note is Governor Abbott was saying, immigrants and illegals in that interview. In the press release, he said potential. Regardless of the fact, the election director testified that there's no widespread influx of non-citizens being registered to vote or popping up on DPS's radar since the surge at the border.
You know, the announcement certainly wasn't framed like that failed gotcha list in 2019, but the review did identify almost 500,000 names of dead people on the rolls, about 12,000 who should not have registered at all because they're non-citizens or they lost the right to vote because of a felony conviction. Greg, it appears about 2,000 illegally voted. That kind of plays into Abbott's warning to Harris County about a plan that commissioners there are considering, trying to send out 2 million applications for mail-in ballots, even though they're not requested.
Yeah, Rudy, that message appears to have gotten through because Democratic commissioners pulled it off the agenda this week, and it may not return. That said, it did not stop Democratic elected leaders from standing before the cameras with harsh accusations and rhetoric, including fear-mongering, intimidation, calculated confusion, and a purge of voters Representative Gene Wu said were just, quote, people Greg Abbott doesn't like. My read on this, it's a partisan tempest in a teapot. While I question the timing of Abbott's move, these are suspensions, not eliminations. No one will be disallowed from exercising their franchise. In close elections, all provisional suspended ballots will be verified and the legitimate votes will count. Bottom line, I've been doing this nearly 40 years and have yet to see demonstrable proof of an election stolen by either side. With only a relatively few exceptions, if you have the legitimate right to vote, the only thing that's stopping you from casting it in this country is failing to make sure you are legally registered in a timely and accurate fashion. It's called responsibility. And these days, there's not enough of it.
Stephen, certainly political bravado in play here, but there could be some actual voter fraud convictions, right? Don't you think?
I mean, if there is, I can't wait to see it. I mean, I know the AG's office has spent millions of dollars to investigate fraud. Still waiting to see where that fraud is.
Do you think Greg, these claims of voter fraud being unfounded, it now ends or it just ratchets it up?
Look, Rudy, this is just red meat. We use that term all the time here, but it actually applies to this whole voter fraud, voter suppression, wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah, red meat. That could have been a hyphenated word for all this, too. All right, we'll end it there. You can see this interview or any of our past interviews by going to our YouTube pages.
Yeah, and you can also visit our social media sites to continue the conversation.
Next week, same time, same place, there'll be another hot button issue. Remember to let us know what you think the issue is.